Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the cottage kitchen at the Elliott homestead. We have a crazy, busy week here on the farm, but I wanted to just kind of throw down in the kitchen today and make with you one of my very favorite things to enjoy for dinner, which is spicy oven fries. Now, most people don't have a deep fryer. I do, because I really like to fry things in tallow and lard. But these fries can be made in the oven. So I've got my oven preheating to 425. We're gonna get it nice and hot. We're gonna go get some potatoes from the root cellar, see how they're doing, and we are just going to load them with all kinds of spices from the cupboard. And then we're gonna sit back and enjoy and lick the salt off our fingers, enjoy a nice glass of wine, take a deep breath. I would like to thank Kamikoto for sponsoring today's video. There's a link right below in the show notes with a coupon code EHOME that you can use to get $50 off your Kamikoto knife purchase. These are Japanese steel knives that are forged by master craftsmen, and the result is shockingly sharp knives that are easy to clean, fit perfectly in your hand, and are made to last your lifetime. Michelin star chefs around the world use these knives because of the blade's wonderful precision. They feel good in your hands. If you're not sure which knife you'd use the most in your kitchen, the Nakiri vegetable knife is a great place to start, and that's what I'm going to be using today. There's a link right below this video to Kamikoto where you can visit, learn more about the company, browse the knives, and make sure that you use the code EHOME for a one-time discount. These would make a wonderful Valentine's gift. Inevitably, what happens with the potatoes is that people come down here and they grab the big potatoes. And so every winter, all that's left is these little guys, small little ones. But I'm making kind of wedge style French fries. So I also want the big ones. So I'm gonna grab what I can out of here, and I might need to lift this off and go down to the next crate. I've actually been really proud of how these potatoes have stored. Really grateful. We had such a great harvest this year that we still have more potatoes than I know what to do with, which I suppose is good in a way because it'll be July until we harvest the new potatoes, which are the smaller ones that aren't meant for storage. But even still, you got to find up really creative ways to use up all these potatoes. But lucky for me, I don't really have like a craving or a desire for sweet things. I really like salty things. And so that's one of the reasons I go back to this recipe over and over again, because they're spicy, they're full of flavor, they use up food that we already have in the root cellar, and it kind of scratches that itch. So you can cut your potatoes however you like. I'm not cutting them too thick, even though they're delicious that way, because I want them to be done in time for dinner. The thicker your potato, the longer it takes to cook. All right, now this is one of those recipes that's not super precise. It's meant to kind of be tailored. The one rule is that you need to load up these potatoes. So I've got some spices out here, and this is what I'm going to load up mine with. But first, I'm gonna add in some olive oil. Here's what fat does when you cook foods. It helps the heat to distribute evenly. So if you were just to put these potatoes in the oven just like this with no fat surrounding them, spots would burn. The heat would be distributed unevenly. But when we add a fat, like olive oil, we're gonna kind of help that process, which is gonna help them get brown, help them get crispy, help them to cook evenly all over, which is exactly what we want. So I use a lot of olive oil in my kitchen. So I got this great little 3-liter olive oil container from Bona Fortuna. I'll put a link below if you wanna shop it, but I find it incredibly handy because I use so much oil. So we've got our fat. That's also going to help all of our spices stick to the potatoes. First up, we're going to season with salt. You got to be generous with salt with potatoes because they need it. Now, let's see what we got here. Here's chili powder. I love to use good chili powder because it's not super strong in flavor. It has a nice heat, it has a nice warmth, and it has a really nice color. So I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of chili. I've got dried rosemary here. I'm gonna do a teaspoon of dried rosemary. I have got these incredibly spicy chili flakes, but these are spiced onion fries. So I'm gonna add about a half teaspoon of those. These are another seasoning from Bona Fortuna, and they are spicy. I like them though. All right, here we have some smoked paprika, which is such a wonderful spice. Not a lot of people use it, but it's a real nice way to get kind of this depth. So 2 more tablespoons of smoked paprika and 2 more tablespoons of regular sweet paprika. Look at this. It already smells like heaven. I'm salivating just looking at it. Okay. Now, one more important ingredient is garlic. What I like about using powdered garlic is that it doesn't burn. If you just put garlic cloves in here, they're gonna be more inclined to burn because the oven is so hot. And burnt garlic is not a good flavor. So I'm gonna use minced garlic, and I'm gonna add in a healthy teaspoon, maybe a little bit more. Okay. Now, last ingredient is some freshly ground black pepper. I introduced you guys to this actually a couple of weeks ago here, but I converted my coffee grinder into a black pepper grinder because this way I can, don't knock the wine over. This way I can grind a lot all at one time. I was always finding that I could never grind enough black pepper, but check that out. Chunky and a lot of it. I mean, you can see I'm spicing these bad boys. That's probably a tablespoon. Check these out. Spices really work a lot of wonders. You know, these potatoes are still really delicious. We pulled these out of our garden in October, I think, or maybe even September. So they've been out of the ground for a while. They've been in storage for a while. Even without the spices, they would be delicious, but these are gonna be really, really good. You know what I need to do? So I ended up making a little bit more than I thought. You could totally bake them just like this and they would be delicious, but I want them to get crispy on the edges. And in order to do that, I cannot crowd the pan. So I'm gonna grab out my other tray, split this between 2, and then pop them into the oven. Potatoes always need a little bit more salt than you think, and they always need a little bit more fat than you think. And because I want those crispy edges, oh, I can't wait to devour these, I'm gonna add a little bit more olive oil and a little bit more salt. So something else to consider when you're baking these in your oven is that if you want them to be crispy, you need to make sure you don't steam them too much. So what can happen is if you're doing 2 trays at the same time, you'll put one below and one up top, and the one below, the steam will rise from those potatoes, hit that top tray, and then go back down. So it kind of creates this humid environment for the potatoes, which is not how you get crispy potatoes. But I'm gonna bake 2 at one time. So I'm gonna pop them both in. I'm just gonna rotate them so that neither tray stay on the bottom for too long so that they don't steam, but rather they really kind of get nice and baked and crispy. There you go. All right, Fries are in the oven. My roast is finishing up in the other oven. So I'm gonna whip together a quick little dip for my fries. So these are spicy and they're warm and there's a lot of depth to them. So we're gonna counter that by dipping them in something acidic. This is why French fries are so good dipped in ketchup, because the acid balances the salt and the fat. So instead of using ketchup, I'm actually gonna reach for sour cream. It's thick and it coats the fries really well when you dunk them in. I also have some tomato jam that I made last year. I'll be sure to tag that recipe below. I love this condiment. It's tomatoes and onions and honey and vinegar, and it's been slow cooked down. It's delicious. And then lastly, a little bit of mustard, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of black pepper. Now they may look kind of dark, but they're not burnt at all. Rather, all of those spices and herbs kind of caked into the side of the potato, which makes them so spicy and so flavorful and so wonderful. Here we go. You hear the crunch? So delicious. Hope you guys love them. Cheers.